Why do all these movements go to anti-Semitism straight away? They're rancid movements. They're rancid movements based on half-truths and lies. And everything based on that will always fall into the supreme paranoid lie, which is anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is a psychosis that human beings are very vulnerable to, and the Jews' tragedy is that they provide such an easy excuse for people who are failing in their lives in all sorts of ways. And as I've often said, you know, the amazing thing about anti-Semitism is the Jews can simultaneously be accused of being rich and of being poor, of being integrated and not integrating enough, and of being stateless and of having a state. But, you know, in a line I've been trying to popularize in the last year from Vasily Grossman, everywhere it tells you nothing about the Jews, what it tells you about is the person who suffers from anti-Semitism. And as Grossman says, tell me what you accuse the Jews of, I'll tell you what you're guilty of. Let me give you the supreme example of that. The Arab world and the Muslim world accuses Israel of being a colonial state. It's so funny. Islam is one of the great colonial projects in history. In history. The Muslim world expanded through violent colonialism. Now, that doesn't mean that all Muslims approve of that or love it, but they certainly live in the history of that. The Ottoman empires and all of these are all colonial movements. The whole of Islam is a colonial movement. And they have the gall to say that the Jewish people in their ancestral homeland, where they existed long before Muhammad's mother came around, should be regarded as the colonial power. This doesn't tell you anything about Israel, it tells you about the Muslim and Arab world. They are colonialists, so they accuse Israel of being colonialists. But the case, the very, very interesting case, which all of the psychiatrists and psychologists in New York could not work out if you got them all together, of the American student mind. Well, that is very interesting. And I'd say a couple of things. The first is, these are young people searching for a cause, and they've been given a cause by wicked people. And they'll have to decide in their lives what they think about that. If you chant Intifada, you are chanting for something like the suicide bomber who went into a university in Jerusalem 20 years ago and detonated in the cafe, killing American students, among others. You happy with that? Are you happy with that? When you say you want the Intifada everywhere, do you really mean you want your fellow students to be blown up whilst buying a cappuccino? Really? Like, have you thought about this at all? Are you this morally frivolous or wicked? So, these are, by the way, and these are people who have joined a losing side. This is very important to stress. They've joined a losing side. They have joined a death cult. They have joined a death cult. They celebrate a death cult. When they celebrate and reiterate mottos shouted by Hamas and Hezbollah, they should know that the people they're shouting support for are in the dust now. I suppose some of these people have got fed up of sending wreaths by now. Maybe they should have loyalty cards with Interflora. Send flowers to all of the people they worshipped who are no more. Their horrible belief is going the way that anti-Semitic death cults have gone throughout history. There is a reason why people abhor the Nazis. They were the same type of people, and they were ground into the dust of history. Hamas, Hezbollah, the mullahs will go as well. And these young people who decided to spend their formative years fasting or shitting into a bucket in the middle of Columbia University while saying they were doing it for Hamas. Well done, guys. Well done. Your movement was less fragrant than it seemed.